Greetings and salutations, test takers. This is the Series 7 Guru, aka Dean Tinney, coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas, with our always very special guest, Brian Lee, managing member of Test Geek Exam Prep LLC, the Test Geek himself. Let us know where you're joining us from. We'll take care of some housekeeping and then we'll get underway. So we're here every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. If you do have a question, please let us know in the following format. Just helps us pick it out of the chat and we can be more helpful. There's a lot of overlap on questions. If you're using the channel, my channel is the best free supplement to your paid study materials. Brian is a paid supplement. So again, we don't claim that we're all you need. We claim that we help you. So last week, Brian had somebody who was saying that we didn't cover something, and I was like, well, that's on you. That's not on us. We can't have videos for everything. Anyways, free supplement is my YouTube channel. If you're using a YouTube channel, best way to use that is to find your series playlists, plural. You're taking the SIE, for example, there's 3 playlists, and they're in suggested watch order. The videos are in suggested watch order. If you're looking for a particular topic, like accrued interest, for example, use the channel search bar, put in accrued interest, margin, whatever it is, parity, and all the content we have will come up. Questions as well as full lectures. We have little itty bitty questions and we have full blown lectures on that. We have a new Facebook community called Baby Brokers Doing Hat Tricks. Baby Brokers is the term of endearment for rookies in the securities industry. A hat trick is 3 successes in a limited time frame. We're already coming up on 200 members in that Facebook group, so feel free to check us out over there. And we got a lot going on. If you are looking for a paid supplement, the 2 best paid supplements are the Kaplan Q Bank. If you don't already have it, with my 15% discount code, you can get that for $58.50. Until we convince Brian to write his own Q Bank, that is the best Q Bank out there. And then if you need another paid supplement, I would combine them. And then Brian has given our viewers a 20% discount on his all-in video series. And you know what I like about video series is it's just distillation of the whole thing. I have over 1,000 hours of video content. Would I like you to watch 1,000 hours of video content? Yes. But, he only goes cover to cover on stuff that's on the test. So that's about $100 all in. So with that and a Kaplan Q Bank, you're looking at an additional investment of $150, $160. I think that's a much better supplement, paid supplement than Achievable. I know a lot of people use Achievable as a paid supplement, but I think a Kaplan Q Bank and a Brian paid supplement is a little cheaper and I think better when combined together. So there's my little commercial for Kaplan and for my friend Brian Lee. Brian also has in that PDF that comes with his course, I think the practice exams that have the highest correlation to the actual exams. If you look at the top of the chat, I've linked to 4 things on the booking page that are available to you. Those 4 things on the booking page that are available to you, 2 of them are free. There is a live stream overtime session whiteboard that we're doing next Tuesday. It's free. There's an office hour that is free, only if you have bought something. So, that's not an office hour where you call me and say, Dean, I would like an office hour. That's called tutoring. An office hours, I put it at my convenience, and if somebody wants to pay, then I move it. So, that moves around. But that's for people who bought a course. There's also 2 courses coming up. The course, if you buy a course from me, that unlocks the office hour. I have an advanced options course that's coming up, and you'll find there on the booking page, that's $60. And I have an unethical business practices evening course coming up for $40. So there's the link for those if you're interested. We'll also be drawing for those this evening. So the drawing will be your choice of a scholarship to either advanced option strategies or unethical business practices. I'm going to try and get Brian to do another evening class with us because his is very popular and very helpful. So I'll get with him backstage and see if we can get him to do something with us. By the way, Brian and I are collaborators. I am not part of Test Geek. So if you do buy Brian stuff and you have a question, feel free to call Brian. Don't send me emails about Brian's stuff. We have this available as a podcast. Boom. There's those 2 courses I told you about. And if you do win our drawing, you got to claim that within an hour. And I'll put that email back up there, Series 7 Guru Exam Prep .com. All right, so that takes care of the housekeeping. We did, Brian, have some people who submitted some questions early.
That's good.
And so that's live stream. If you want to submit questions before Tuesday, you can do so. This is what I call hot debrief. This is somebody, Kendall, if you're out there. If you're not, I'm going to refer you to the replay to watch this because you've been on me to talk about some of these things that you are uncomfortable with. This is hot debrief is when somebody comes right out of the exam and they've missed the mark and then they write down the things that they think they were not ready for. Number one, a nonprofit organization doesn't want to keep paying charges on their account monthly. What type of funds should they use? Now, again, Brian and I, when we get debriefed, sometimes we even get debriefed. We still don't know what people are talking about. I think what type of account would make more sense, and I would say a wrap account. Brian, do you have any thoughts on that first one?
Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind was a wrap account.
Okay. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't think it would be a fund as much as it would be the account itself.
Yeah.
Number two,
the nonprofit part has nothing to do with it.
Of course, they're so good at that. They're so good. I call it the Jedi mind trick. They try and cloud your mind by putting stuff in there that doesn't have anything really to do with answering the question. You know, I have to give Brian, he's pretty good on his practice questions on that Jedi mind trick too. He gets to go in a certain way. You know, as a baseball fan, he throws you a change up and, you miss the question.
Just as a side mark, because I have heard nonprofits show up on some of these exams.
I've seen those as donor advised funds.
Oh, okay. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And also, what type of retirement plan would be best for them?
Okay, there you go. There you go. Right. Number two, I think we can help on this one. A tech company wants to do a reverse merger with a public company to avoid an IPO. That's called a SPAC, Special Purpose Acquisition Corporation. What happens to the common stock of the public company? It still exists. It's like Trump Media. That was a reverse merger into a public shell, and the public stock still exists, but the existing shareholders of the shell are going to get massively diluted because of their issuing all the new stock to the private company doing the reverse merger. What Brian and I have seen, and Brian brought this up on Debrief first, is what is the public offering price? If we're setting up a new public company for this express purpose, in other words, we're not going and buying an existing public shell. We're creating a public shell to go make an acquisition of a private company. Brian said he's seen, and since he told me this, I've seen it too. What is the public offering price on a SPAC? And it's $10. $10. Three, a woman usually only does covered calls and covered calls in her account, and now wants to sell out a lot of her shares because she says her caretaker is financially savvy what to do. I don't know what to make of that question. I mean, if she's going to do something different than she's been doing, and I don't see that in the question, again, her caretaker has nothing to do with this. If she tells me to do something and she's mentally competent, I do it. Four, son calls in the firm and wants the RR to sell a bunch of funds, and then the check to him in his dad's name. Absolutely not. We don't accept instructions from people who aren't on the account. So it says his dad's name, who is the owner of the account. The son has limited power of attorney. So limited power of attorney just means he can't withdraw securities. He can buy and sell securities. So no can do. Five, something along the lines of a group of accredited investors selling something at 15%. What should you do as far as them being accredited? Look in their history, do a report. Well, every firm is different about how they confirm that. Some firms want W-2s. Some firms would like a letter from your attorney or from your broker dealer. But you would need to do some due diligence to verify. I don't know what the 15%. The only thing I can think of there is that when we're doing syndications, the maximum syndication fees would be 15%. That's the only 15% number I'm aware of. Individual wants to write uncovered calls. They have an account open for 6 months, very testable. If whatever your previous approval is, if you're doing something different, you got to get it reapproved for that level. So we would have to redo the account and get new approval to do that activity. 7, a customer is buying and selling continuously and is way out of their investment strategy. What do you do? Freeze the account, call and contact the customer about investment style changes, do nothing. Yeah, I'd contact the customer given that, but again, customers are king. We don't play God with customers' money. 7. Excuse me. 8, 2 questions on a client won't give you information. So this is called the know your customer rule. With a customer refuses to give us information unless we have some other means. of determining suitability, then we can't make recommendations. Pay attention to what I said. We have some other means. So, for example, if Elon Musk says, I'm not telling you, I'm going to put, one of the richest men in the world, I'm opening the account. So we might have other ways of determining suitability. But KYC, know your customer. Without knowing your customer, can't make recommendations. Pre-refunded bonds, yield to call. She had 5 or 6 bull or bear recognitions on spreads. That's quite a bit. She had a question on ETFs. This is common test fodder.
Yeah.
Well, 147, dollar cost averaging, a laddered bond portfolio, which is the most conservative bond portfolio you can have. An 80-year-old who wants income with no risk. That's a government security. Reg D. So the rest of it's pretty standard. So that was one that came up. Another one that came up early was, let's see if I can find
Was that Series 7, Dean?
Series 7.
Yeah.
This is 65. And this is Kaplan QID 1521720. And it's about what would a customer pay, Brian, for a bond with $20 of accrued interest that's trading at par. This is an aim and shoot point and click question. It's 1,020. And I don't know why this was more complicated to the test taker than it should have been. But it's 1,020 the buyer will pay and the seller will receive. Her other question was she didn't know that 10M meant 1,000. So on the test, when it says 10M, that means 10,000 in bonds. The other one that came up was one we answered yesterday. So if you're out there, Kyle, Brian and I already talked about shared in the investment advisory account. It's not sharing the profits with the customer. It's a performance-based fee based on a benchmark. Okay, so if you guys send those questions early, I'm going to respond to your email and say, check out the first part of our live stream. All right, let's see what we've got new going on. New York. Oh, wow, man. Wealth Talks with Sam. Sam, I love your profile picture. Look at that. That looks spirit-filled, doesn't it?
Well,
yeah, I'm jealous. I got to come up with a picture like that.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot. You're welcome, June. You're welcome. Pass the SIE. Woo! Victorious test taker in the house. I don't know why you wouldn't listen to Brian and I always say, though, if there is a victorious test taker in the house, take advantage of them. Ask June. Every draw is a little different. Cynthia, pass the Series 7. All right. Woo!
Yay! Cynthia!
Yeah, Cynthia. Boy, Cynthia was resilient. And some of our favorite test takers are resilient test takers who are in it. I told you, Brian, I had somebody buy your 24, and I'll forward that email to you. From that person. Cynthia, I don't know who you're using for your 24. Again, Kaplan's good, STC is good, but if you're looking for a supplement, Brian has 2 things. He has a 24 supplement, and he has the best video of all time on buy-in and sellouts as it relates to the 24. And it's free. So I would highly recommend check out his free YouTube content for your 24. Do you recommend? I recommend, Daniel, focusing on disclosures on unethical business practices, right? No, not as much as the investment vehicles, but that's about 25% of it. What do you think, Brian? What would you add to unethical business?
Daniel, Dean and I did a Series 66 podcast. You got to listen to the first 2 episodes.
There you go.
It answers everything and more that you just asked.
Thank you, Brian. Daniel, what I do in the live streams, if you're new with us, after the live stream and the video description replay, I link to content that comes up in the course of the live stream. So I will, Daniel, link to the 66 podcast that Brian and I did. So I'll put that there, and you can have the link to check that out. I would check out all episodes, but those first 2, Brian is right. We speak directly to that. By the way, we also cover the updates. I had somebody today say, oh, you need to make a new video to cover the updates. I said, well, you didn't use the channel search bar. We have covered that. Hi, Dean and Brian. Missed the 7 by 1 point. Oh, that hurts. I hate those scores. Consistent scores of 60s on the Kaplan simulated exams. Well, we'd like you to be in the mid 70s.
Yeah.
Any recommendations to improve? Yeah, maybe circle back, do some base. Jimmy, if you have the resources, I know some people don't when they're starting out our business. Good news, if you're poor and you deserve to be rich, our industry is great. But I know that some of you may be on your way to deserving to be rich and not have resources. But Jimmy, you do have the resources. I highly recommend Brian's paid supplement because that can help you reset a little bit watch his videos and kind of see what base maybe you were missing, and then come back to the Kaplan content and start doing those practice tests again. I would want you to take a practice test if you haven't already done so, debrief. And I have a video I'm going to link to, Jim, called "You Failed. Is It Over?" The answer, spoiler alert, is no. But I have 5 recommendations for people who have missed their mark, and I'll put that in the video description as well. Brian, what would you add to that?
I illustrate, I bet you, a lot of the points that people struggle with. When I illustrate how to calculate accrued interest, when I calculate what a pre-refunded bond is, you can actually see it. It puts a little context around some of these things. So no matter those paragraph-long questions, who cares? You got the context, you got the concept.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I just think having a different voice in general is a good idea. So you've been using the Kaplan. Kaplan's fine. I don't know what your QBank usage is, Jim. I'd be interested in, of the almost 4,000 questions, how many have you actually used? But sometimes getting a different voice, as long as it's not confusing you, is a good way to start. And if you don't already have Brian, I think Brian would be a good voice for that. Let me make a note. What have I got to make notes of what I promised people in video descriptions. I said I'm going to link to the 66 podcast. I got to make sure I make good on what I tell people I'm going to do. Hi, Dean and Brian. Any advice on the 63 to be on the lookout? 63 is just past the 6. Well, congratulations on your 6. 63 is one of those where you need to practice, drill, and rehearse. It shouldn't, I don't overthink it. What do you think, Brian? Mainly practice exams or reading?
You know what it is. It's all about
persons. Yeah, lady, I will link to 2 things. Brian's excellent lecture on persons that he did for us. I'm also going to link to my video called Mighty 90. The Mighty 90 is the series 63 in 90 minutes. And it's been a very popular video. I think those would be 2 very helpful videos. But make sure you do your practice tests, and make sure you time yourself, because timing can be an issue on that. Haas, I like it. Haas follows instructions. Series 7 question. Have been having trouble when to convert to common stock or stayed with the preferred stock. Any tips? Haas, be watching the replay, because I will be putting a video up later today or tomorrow morning on this very thing. But if you put parity into the channel search bar, you'll find 6 or 7 examples, Haas, of me walking people through whether to convert or whether to let it be called. It's not stay, it's called. So it's called a forced conversion, where the issuer says, would you like 105 for your preferred stock, or would you like 4 shares of the common? And the way we do that is we do some math, and I have plenty of that math already in the channel. Put parity or convertibles in the channel search bar. Probably a dozen things will come up. An entire lecture will come up, and there'll be a new video out shortly with that very question based on preferred stock. Brian, parity. You're going to
especially on the forced conversion. I got it. Is this series? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not only converting to preferred, but as Dean said, from corporate bond to stock, a forced conversion. Think about those 2 terms. The company is forcing people to convert. Pick the answer that says convert.
Yeah. So Haas, well, they know what you're going to do is whatever makes more economic sense. So from the company standpoint, if I want to convert, I'm going to offer you a price that isn't as attractive as converting, and and it has potential dilution. Tax treatment of equity securities. I don't think so. I would have a general understanding that the capital gains tax is a transaction-based tax, and it's based on short-term or long-term, and then the tax consequences of interest you receive on corporate bonds and treasury bonds and muni bonds. But if you tell me, Haas, you missed the mark because of tax treatment of equity securities, I must say, I don't think so. Brian, what do you think?
I got a YouTube video, especially for just a basic tax primer. It was originally intended for Series 7 students on YouTube.
I will link that to there. And I also have a video as well called Death and Taxes. No, just Death. And I will link that as well for you. That's a whole video on tax consequences. I think as you're studying, what I would say, Haas, is along the way and you're studying the various investment vehicles, I would know the tax consequences of those investment vehicles. So, in the context of the investment, nobody expects us as brokers to be accountants. But clients do expect a broker has a general understanding of the tax consequences of investments. 66, Cody, coming up in 3 weeks. Brian, could you please go over? Yeah, I guess he doesn't want my help. The main differences between A, B, and C class shares. It relates to anything on this. Absolutely. If Brian can't do it, I'll do it. What do you want to do, Brian? I think that should be short and sweet, right?
Do I do a lecture here, Dean?
That's up to you. Whatever you want to do.
Well, let's not spend too much time with it because it's on your videos. It's on my videos. For Series 65, 66, and probably Series 6 as well. Class A's are front load. What is it? What's the exam? I think Series 6. These are for large investors for long term.
Yeah, that is very much the test question, right? Long time horizon with a large amount of investment.
For small investors, long term. As a matter of fact, I know a test question somewhere out there in the test universe about what would be the most expensive share class in the short period. And the answer to that would be Class B because of these back ends, which are also known as CDSCs, contingent deferred sales charges. So if you want to sell like in the first or second year, that back end load is going to be very high, 7%, something like that. But it declines over time. So if you wanted to get out of your Class B after 1 year, you're going to be paying a 7% redemption fee. It is by far the most expensive holding short term. So there's several different questions on Class Bs. That was just one of them. Class Cs, sometimes people call that a level load. It is an asset-based fee. And it is for large investors who want to hold short term. So there's the suitability for each one. There's the, the charge characteristics of these things. That should answer at least 3 different questions on 60.
Yeah, I would be aware of the answer set as well, right? Just as a ABC in the answer set. Remember, the idea with the front load is you might qualify for breakpoints with that large amount, right? So definitely testing.
And again, Dean's got videos. I've got on my video plenty of time. I just tried to rush through all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's what live streams are about. So
exactly. So
I don't know, Cody. I can certainly link to a mutual fund lecture. I've got quite a few actually pretty good ones.
We all do.
I have a tutoring replay on mutual funds, Cody. I think people underestimate mutual funds on 65, 66.
I was just going to say that. This is a very poignant question. Yeah. It's a good question to bring up.
Well, Micheline, I think this is, test prep vendors doing what test prep vendors do. I have never seen anybody on debrief say they've seen anything about investors on a cruise ship and whose state is responsible.
I've seen it.
You have. So I would say, let me give my answer and see what Brian says. I would say, Micheline, it would be based on the residents who are on the cruise ship. So in other words, if I'm a resident of Mom just went on a cruise, I sent her to Europe for 2 weeks, cruising around the UK and France. And Mom is a resident of Nevada. And so the person, if they're pitching investments to Mom, they need to be registered in Nevada would be my guess. What do you think, Brian?
Right? And I can't recall, because it's been several years since I've heard this question, whether it's an agent or an IAR. I think it's an agent, I believe. So if they're in Florida giving a lecture to cruise ship passengers, then they would definitely have to be registered in Florida. No doubt about it. You're soliciting in the state of Florida. Yeah. I think. If it's an IAR, then there would be other parameters surrounding that, which we couldn't answer. But I think it's
have you had anybody tell you've seen that in a long time?
Like I said, it's been 5 or 6 years.
I haven't.
I'm waiting for someone to bring it up, and this is the first time I've heard it in a while.
Mom and son want to have a joint account. Could they avoid probate through some sort of joint account? I would think joint tenants with rights or survivorship. Would that be the answer? Would be my answer, right? Seed and share goes to the surviving party. That would be it. I don't think it would be joint with transfer on death. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah. What is the son legal age?
I don't know. I'm just looking at the question. Mom and son.
The son is an adult.
What's
The
that?
easy answer is rights of survivorship. That would be.
I think so. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Hello, Yeti. Thank you for joining us from Facebook. Our primary platform is YouTube, but we do broadcast to X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And so I'm always happy to see people joining us from Facebook or LinkedIn because that's our, we're there, but primarily. Hello. What type of brokerages would you guys recommend? We don't give recommendations, Oz. We're just here to help you pass your test. We don't do career counseling. We don't make recommendations of Schwab or Fidelity or Robinhood. Find another channel for that. We exclusively help people try and make their mark on their tests. Kenner, all right, Marcel. Mom's back home. Oh, what, Marcel? Oh, I drove to LAX and Mom had friends with her, and she was stuck in customs from like 2 hours. And then her friend was with her, told me that she was going to get her own ride. And so I stayed at a hotel that wasn't anywhere close to where her friend's at. And she needed a ride. Oh, long story short, I'm just now recovering. 5 hours to LAX, pick up Mom, 5 hours back. Oh, what a mess. But Mom is home safely. And, no more cruises for Mom. Yeah, that I have to start all over. Well, what I would do, Harpreet, is I would do a refresh and a reset. So before you start all over, maybe take 2 or 3 days to refresh and reset. Before you do that, I would take a practice test to see how much residual information is still there. Because I'm not so sure with missing at one point, you need to start all over. There should be some base there that we can work from. Now, when people get below 60, I say, yeah, let's just pretend that never happened. And let's start all over, right? I'm a NBA fan. If I'm the coach of the Nuggets, I gotta say, well, let's pretend that never happened. Let's just go out there next time and try and do better. What do you think, Brian, about starting all over versus
Well, again, it's going to depend a little bit more on the test. Let's say it's a Series 63. There's only 2 content areas, the ethics versus registrations and definitions of persons, those sorts of things. So, in other words, use the test results to help direct where you want to spend.
Where you need remediation. So, Harpreet, if you want, put it in the chat. But Brian is what he's referring to. A great recommendation is to go to the test specifications if it's a NASAA exam, or content outline if it's a FINRA exam, and that document will match up perfectly with your printout, and it'll go into more depth. And hopefully, when you do see that, you can see some hunting holes, I call them, some target-rich environments for improvement or remediation, and that would be great rather than you're almost passing everything. So that's a great recommendation. So start there. 63. There you go. So Brian, it wasn't to you 63. I think 63. I would go for you got your 30-day wait, but I don't know if you changed answers. I usually ask people if we missed it by 1. Did you change answers? What happened? Hi, Dean and Brian. My 63 is the 15th. I already signed up for the overtime session for next week. There you go. So, Harpreet, you're welcome to join us for that. Isaac's going to be there, and we can certainly, Isaac, go over some 63 items. Remember, we're posting to 2 63 things that I think are very helpful in the video description on the replay. Brian's definition of persons and registrations and my mighty 90. And there is an entire 63 playlist for the 63 on the channel. It has a couple practice exams and some other things as well. Any plan for 63 live exam? Well, if somebody buys one and gives me permission to do it, I think that's what you mean. We do have a where people can buy a shared practice test with me. And then if they give me permission, I post it on the channel. I don't think there is one of those yet, Harpreet, for 63. So I don't have a plan unless somebody, first buys it and then, gives me permission to post it.
So I have 2 questions. Harpreet, did you pass my Series 63 final exam? And Dean, if you would like mine, you can do mine.
That's on the channel, I think. Brian, I think you gave me permission. So Harpreet, if you don't have Brian in the 63 playlist, there is the Test Geek practice test, which has high correlation. But again, I don't know why people don't listen. Pay attention. Brian will sell you the PDF of the practice test and the rationale for any of the exams. It's like $20. But we every once in a while get paid. All I got was a PDF. I think, we said that's what you get for the $20. If you want the all in, it's more like $100. But I love his practice exams, Harpreet. And what I like about them is I always tell people the night before, after they've done that, to get their final mark. So if you have possession of a Test Geek practice test, I tell my students to use that as their final mark before they go. 2-3 days out, we take that. We kind of know where we're at and whether we just need to stick the landing, we got to do remediation. So I always tell them to tuck that away if they're buying Brian's entire PDF package. And then what I tell them to do is the night before, read Brian's question and write answers before you go to bed, and then read Brian's questions and answers the morning when you wake up, just to get into that flow state of 63 or whatever exam it is. Brian works very hard on having correlation with the exam. So, that's a good way to warm up. I have the 63 and 60 minutes. Don't know if you watch that. Same thing. It's about establishing flow. It's not really to, teach anything. There you go. Yeah, we got lots of podcast content. I think I've done it, maybe not, but I've tried to add a podcast to each and every series exam. So we now have a minimum of 3 playlists for each exam, sometimes more. We have a lecture playlist, we have a practice test and question playlist, and we have a podcast playlist. So Brian and I did a collaboration for our 65 and our 66 podcast, which was excellent. So maybe we'll, try and do a 24 or do something down the road. Yeah, people do like it, Brian. They like, the gym or going to the movies or whatever.
Boy, and it sure is fun. I enjoy doing them too.
Yeah. I got to get you that 3rd episode. I owe Brian some of the episodes. I got to get that done. Should you know the difference between partnerships and limited partnerships? I don't think that's a testable thing. I would know there's a flow through, and partnerships as questions about in clients are different than partnerships as investment vehicles. But what do you think? 65, Brian? Maybe
here's what I tell people. The general partnership is part of the different types of businesses.
Yeah, business structures.
There's the flow through profits and those sorts of things. And there can be a question or two on the investment vehicle of a limited partnership, specifically that it's an illiquid investment, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's the business entity, that's the investment entity, and that's how I tell people to keep them separate.
Yeah, Michelini, the other thing I would add to that, there is a question on the actual exam about a husband and wife who have a family business and the structured as a general partnership. And they ask you on the test, why is this husband and wife considering dissolving the general partnership and reforming as an LLC? And so what would be the answer to that question, Michelini? Yeah, Brian has the answer. Brian?
Because the LLC has limited liability.
There you go, right? So very much on the test. So you're going to get the business structure question or two like that?
Yeah.
Heading into the 70 mid-70s, right on. Series 10 Eli, oh my God, that thing is such a slog. Such a slog. So training consultants pass perfect, almost there. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. I just think that 10 is just such a slog. I don't know, Brian, what do you think? 10 versus 24? I think the 10 is almost more of a slog than the 24. But
it's close. But you're right. 10 is a different kind of slog.
Yeah. Jason Holiday, Series 65 question. Thank you so much for helping us pick that out of there. Getting to low to mid 70s on Kaplan, upper 50s on Past Perfect, and using Dean's and Brian's supplements. Good. Where should I focus my attention to get a few more points? I wouldn't spend too much time in Past Perfect. Where should you spend focus to get? I don't know. Your mid 70s make me think rinse and repeat. What do you think, Brian? You got any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I don't think people spend enough time with balance sheets. I really don't. Both the corporate as the personal balance sheets are fairly easy questions, but the corporate ones, if you don't know your current assets from your fixed assets, you're going to have some trouble.
Yeah. I will link Jason to a balance sheet lecture. I think Brian has one too.
I have one too.
We have 2 or 3 of those available for you. Well, there you go. Good debrief. Thank you. Michelini says that question was not on a practice test. It was on her actual exam. So there you go. Hopefully we helped out.
Which one was that?
The partnership question McLean had.
Oh, yeah.
So remember, the general partner is a business structure,
Right.
and the limited partnership is an investment vehicle. Right. And you should definitely know that limited partnerships are not liquid, and you should know general partnerships have unlimited liability. There you go. Boy, lots of 63 people out and about. Yep. I'm looking at your uniform there. That almost looks like a Marine Corps uniform. If so, Semper Fi, Matt. That looks like some dress greens there. Maybe I'm missing that. I can't see that very, very much. I don't see an eagle, globe, and anchor behind you. I see the Bear Republic flag and the U.S. flag. Multiples of multiple questions. Is it all standard ABC? NASA exams, what do you think, Brian? 3 or 4 multiples of multiples?
Yeah, the NASA still uses them. FINRA does not.
Yeah, on FINRA exams, there are no multiples of multiples. Now, a misconception that I've heard is that test prep vendors write multiple of multiple questions because they're easier. And that is not true. The reason that test prep vendors have, and here we go with a rant, multiples is because there are a lot of test prep vendors that have legacy questions. Right. Questions that go back to the old days of the Series 7, where indeed there were multiples of multiples. So it's a legacy issue, and none of those test prep vendors want to delete questions. Nobody wants to say they have less questions. So they have questions that nobody's seen in years, and they have multiples of multiples. Any last minute tips? Well, make sure you get a good night's rest Thursday night. Fold up your study effort, get a good night's rest. And then on Friday, make sure you're confident in yourself. You're confident in your execution of your study plan. Most importantly, be confident in your answers on Friday. This is Tuesday, so maybe get a last practice test score, maybe tomorrow, just to kind of get a mark. I don't know, Edgar, where you're at in terms of your practice test scores. That would be helpful to know, so we know whether you need to be, continuing to work or you're ready to, stick the landing.
Edgar, are you listening to me? Keep it simple. You take the test. Don't let the test take you.
Right on.
Stay with what you know.
It's not called a 63 extra time. Harpreet, at the very front of the chat, there's a link to my booking page. It's called Live Stream Overtime Session. And we talk about what anybody wants to talk to about any exam, first come, first serve. So it's called Overtime. You can find it on the booking page. The link to the booking page is at the front end of the chat. If you can't find it there, you can find it at deantenneytutoring.setmore.com. You passed Brian 63. There you go. What is the best resource for understanding technical and fundamental analysis? Well, the bigger deal is fundamentals, certainly. I don't think you really need a resource for technical. You need to know support and resistance. You need to know short interest theory, odd lot trading theory. The technical part of it is mainly aim and shoot. You should, McLean, know that under the efficient market hypothesis, technical analysis does not work. So it looks like Brian's giving you the best resource right now, his whiteboard. And so there you go.
Again, I tell people, the simple way about it, of course, technical is just stock charts, price history, right? That's what a stock chart is the history of the price of the stock. Oftentimes is an answer choice in one of these technical fundamental questions. I don't think you're good in that you ask it, because a lot of people ask it. It's always on the test. There are a couple trying to distinguish between fundamental and technical. Not a lot, just a couple of questions. And basically all of the following are technical analysis tools except, or vice versa. They're relatively basic, but you have to know the technical, of course, price, volume, history, right? And there's resistance and trends and support and that kind of thing. The fundamental analysis is financials, right? They love to use the word earnings, price to earnings, earnings ratios, right? And some other financial things, anything that involves monies, right? The balance sheets, the income statements, that's all fundamental. That's all technical. Keep it simple. Stay with what you know.
Yeah, I don't think technical analysis does people in, but you need to know support and resistance, head and shoulders, odd lot trading theory. So I don't think it's a resource as much as technical would be flashcard stuff. And then fundamental analysis, I think, Brian, is a much bigger deal than technical analysis as a test issue on the 65.
That's correct.
Thank you. I've watched all your videos in the playlist. Wow, Isaac, thank you so much. Besides the test so far, I took the advice to stay around 2-3 weeks, so I'm pounding it out as quick as I can. Okay, cool. Well, Jason, we're going to link to the balance sheet lecture. I just did a whole balance sheet tutoring session today.
It's on my YouTube
I've got
channel.
2 or 3 balance sheet lectures. Brian's got one. We'll link in the video replay to those things. Again, if I don't link, I'm going to. But if I don't, just go into the channel search bar, put in balance sheet, and all kinds of things will come up. Practice questions, lectures, whatever you need. Army. That's an Army uniform? Wow. Geez, I've been out of the military a while. I didn't know the Army had like dress greens like that. Well, thank you for your service, Matt. And it looks like you're holding, maybe what is that? Your honorable discharge, I hope. I don't think you'd be holding up your dishonorable discharge. Please frame a tricky question for calls and puts.
Oh, that's easy.
There you go, Brian. Do it.
Sally's long 100 shares of XYZ at 50. She fears a near-term correction, but overall she remains bullish. As the IAR, which would you recommend to generate income from this situation?
Yeah.
Classic hedge question. It's on about 5 different exams.
That's right. I always say, McLean, it's the answer set. A, long call, B, short call, C, long put, D, short put. On 65, it'll never be a short put. But on the 65, it's going to be protection. And protection means it's either long call, long put. Remember that the language can be different, right? Because long means buy, owner, holder. So there are lots of ways to say that. But if I'm protecting a long stock position, it's a long put. If I'm protecting a short stock position, it's a long call. And if I'm generating additional income, that's going to be the short call. So I would have that answer set, McLean, A, B, C, D, long call, short call, long put, short put. And as I said, you can toss out the short put on the 65. It's never going to be right. It's going to be protection. And that's going to be either A or C. Got a 50-50, just knowing protection costs money. Got to pay a premium. Or it's going to be income, in which we're going to write the call. So again, I think Brian has it right? Your customer's long X number of shares. The other, right, if I already have the shares, I'm interested in selling them. So it's either going to be a short call or long put. Mid-80s. Sounds good, Edgar. Crushing. There you go. That's, boy, 3-4 months. Love it. Oscar. All right. Woo! Another test-taking victory. 24 going on to supervising 7s. Wow. Okay, well, it looks like, Brian, we are all caught up.
Wow.
It looks like maybe we got here early and I can go watch the basketball game.
Or hockey.
Well, yeah, I forgot. You're a hockey fan. I could care less about what's going on with hockey. What's going on with hockey? Anything exciting?
Stanley Cup playoffs, man.
Yeah, that's a big time, right?
Yes, sir.
And what are your Kraken in it in any way?
Oh, they did. They got.
Okay, so remember what the drawing tonight is for either the scholarship to the 60 advanced options class or a scholarship to unethical business practices. The unethical business practices would be good for 63, 65, 66, as well as SIE and 7, more targeted towards NASAA exams. You want to put a hockey term in there? What, Stanley Cup? What do you want to put in here, Brian, for the giveaway?
Puck.
Puck.
Keep it simple. P-U-C-K.
P-U-C-K. Oh, I got to spell it right. That would help. Okay, if you are interested in the drawing, please put Puck into the chat, and I'll get that screen up in just a minute. Series 7 attempt, 3rd attempt. Customer counts, very testable. Yeah, that's function 3. Customer counts isn't as important as function 3. That's function 2. It's got to be all the P has got to be. Let me put it up there, McLean. It's got to be the way I have it on the screen. So let me put that up.
Yeah, it's got to be all.
I got a capital P. That's why I'm sharing. It's got to be the way I got it on the screen. So let me put it up on the screen. Boom.
So it is case sensitive.
It is case sensitive. I think it's case sensitive. Pretty sure it's. Let me get rid of that. Boom. And I don't know, should I kill us?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Puck. Any other suggestions? Well, training consultants, Dalton, I strongly recommend a paid supplement. I find training consultants to be a little skinny, Dalton. So whether it's supplementing for free on my channel or paying Brian some money to supplement or, buying Achievable, I do think you need a supplement. What do you think, Brian? Training consultants?
Yeah, I'm exactly with you. It's a little skinny. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, here we go with the drawing. Boom. Oh, we got one more coming in at the last minute. All right, here we go. Oh, Yasha. So, Yasha, wow, well, look at these avatars people have, man. That's pretty cool. You must be a Timberwolf fan. Does that look like a dog or a wolf? It looks more like a wolf. I like both. I like all dogs, coyotes, wolves, domestic dogs. I like them all. Yasha, send me an email, Series 7 Guru at guruexamprep.com, and tell me whether you want the unethical business practices or the advanced options class. You can share it with somebody. If you don't want to use it, you can tell me what you like, and you can assign it to, once I give you the link, you can give it to somebody else. You can do with it what you will. So let's get back to Brian and I. Let's kill that. Boom. And there's Brian. Anything else? I'm checking here. Okay, so remember, inch by inch, your exam is a cinch. Yard by yard, your exam is hard. And Brian, you say?
Just like I told Edgar, I spend a lot of time talking to folks about this. You got to get your head out of the way. Stop making up things. Keep it simple. Stay with what you know. You take the test. Don't let the test take you.
Right on. And Ritwick came in at the last minute with a 65 testing victory. I do love it when you come by and tell us so. Thank you so much. It's so good for morale when people are struggling to have victorious test takers show up on a Tuesday. I appreciate you taking the time to do it because it means a lot to other people who are out there and they're maybe having a bad day. They're challenged, and it's a great morale boost. So you're always welcome as a victorious test taker to come join us on Tuesday, just to pop in and let us know you made your mark. Like I said, that's really uplifting for other folks. So thank you so much for all you victorious test takers who join us and tell us that you made it. Checklist really helped. Okay. Thomas passes 7. All right. Anything else coming in? All right. Well, Brian can get on to his hockey and I can get on to my NBA game. We'll see you next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.